Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Please delete as applicable uh, because time zones are a thing and the internet is worldwide. If there's anybody here, could I possibly get a wee audio check in the chat, please? Just to make sure that I'm not going out silent. Mine's not that good for an internet show, especially whenever you don't even get to see my face, which we might do at some stage, but who knows? Right, we're showing 6 people in, which is always good. Nobody in the chat yet. Just check my settings here. Aha, resisting the lies. All good. Rory Herbert, evening son. Audio is good. Glad to hear it. Glenn Gunnar, evening sir. The wonderful, sexy, delightful Emma G. Scrubs incoming. That's always a good sound to hear. Ragnar Ironspear, glad to have you aboard. The real piece of work. Glad to have you in here. Paka, evening, sir. James Hayworth, Steve Craig, Super Mod, glad to have you here. Edmund 184. Has it been a week? Yes, it has. It's been a whole week. A very quick one, but a week nonetheless. Planet X Hunter, what about you, chum? Glad to have you here. Oh, Linda Hunter, scrub in from down under. Thank you very much. Glad to have you here. I hope everybody is well. And what's going on here then? A load of stuff. We've got some mad sports. We've got some strange, different, excellent English/British relations. We've got it's all going on here. Bit of history and everything. Space Hopper Mark. Good evening. That's Rags. Oh, and Billy Blogs is straight in there. What is this about Cornethy picked? We're not doing Cornethy picked tonight, but the Cornethy and the Picts are the same people. Basically, Ulster Scots, and some of them lived in Ulster, and some of them lived in Scotland. Some of the Cornethy went over to Scotland, and they picked up the term Pict, and they're the people that built Hadrian. The Romans built Hadrian's Wall to try to keep out. So, and they would be the original inhabitants of Ireland. So there's a quick blast of history, the first one of the evening. Yep, RPI, a genuine article. It's a duck evening. Glad to have you here. Pack niggle. PA talk evening, sir. Emma G, would you take a wee duty for me because I can't see the chat, but I believe there's a new mod in the chat. If you scroll back, Resisting the Lies should be modded up. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Linda Hunter. Had my daughter home all last week with sore throat and fever. Be glad to not see her next week. School holidays again in 2 weeks, though. Nobody quite nobody quite knows where the Cornethy came from, apart from the water. Impossible to know where the Picts really come from. It's not been proven that they derive from Ireland, to be honest. I think you'll find that the son of Fergus, King of Ireland, and his bride, Scotia, moved from Ulster to Scotland around about the 3rd century BC, bringing with them the stone of scone, and their descendants were known as the descendants of Scotia, from which we got the name Scotialand, Scotland. But there we go. No worry, boss. It's all good. It's all good. You're here now. Don't worry, and you haven't missed much. We haven't got into the we haven't got into the content yet. And with that, I'm going to start pulling up. Yep, our people. I'm going to start pulling up the first bit of content, since we've already had a tangent. The first thing we're going to have a look at is the horn dance in Abbots Bromley. And this is Princess Gora, but the Scotta were different people. Well, Mr. Highlander, I would presume you have a pretty good handle on all this. What did become of the descendants of Scotia? Be a pretty fair question, and something that we could get into. I'm not claiming to have all the answers, because the way the history has been butchered and fucked about with makes it very difficult for people to know absolutely anything for a given fact. But my understanding is that the descendants of Scotia became the Scottish, or became the Pict anyway. Samson, what about you? Yes, they did. They became sweaty socks, Scots. That's exactly what happened. Oh, Bass is all over it. Yes, that's where we're going. I'm just getting this tab pulled up now, and I think we'll zoom this in a bit, and then we will zoom this in a little bit more. Yep, that's good. Accept all them cookies. Here we go. Back to StreamYard, and get my share screen on the go. Chrome tab. Abbots Bromley horn dance. Yep, we're up. We're up and running. Now, Rory's on about the longest Pink Floyd song title. Several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave, grooving with the Pict. That's cool. That is cool. Nice bit of info there, Rory. Thank you for that. Abbots Bromley horn dance. What is it? What's it all about? So here we go. The Abbots Bromley horn dance is a unique English folk dance performed in the village and surrounding districts of District on Wakes Monday. The day follows the first Monday after the first Sunday after the 4th of September. So I'm guessing that's going to be next week. So the dance itself has no fixed date. It can occur between the 5th and 12th of September, depending on the year. The Wakes were originally a 3-day festival granted by Henry III in 1226, celebrating St. Bartholomew's Day, August the 24th. The correction of the Julian calendar in 1752 moved the fair to the beginning of September, and the 3 days have gradually become one, because, like everything else, it gets cut down and cut down and cut down, and you're left with, you've got 1 day for the whole thing. And again, we're running this thing where dates have changed whenever the calendar changed. Although the dance is performed on Wakes Monday, there is no written evidence that the dance originally took place in the 13th century. Indeed, the earliest reference to the dance is 1532, recorded the use of a hobby horse, no horns mentioned, and this was supported by Robert Pole's description in the Natural History of Staffordshire in 1686, when he still describes it as a hobby horse dance, although by this time the horns were recorded as being part of the dance. The horns have been carbon dated to C 1065 from domesticated reindeer from Scandinavian origin that could have been imported at some time in the 11th century to the 17th century. Lending weight to the theory that the custom originally began with a hobby horse and the horn dance component was added later, explaining why only the former was mentioned by the 16th century sources. The dances originally took place on other days as well as Rake's Monday, including Christmas Day, New Year's Day, and the 12th day in the first week of January. That would be the end of Christmas. I'm just nipping back to StreamYard to see the comments. Uh, yeah, well, that's not as straightforward as you think, Regs, because uh, the idea of somebody cutting their hand off and throwing it across a lake is not necessarily true. There's a good probability that the original Red Hand came from the Red Hand branch knights who fought the invading Celts. And if you're familiar with fighting with a sword and you put your sword into a person and then into another person, it's not long before your hand turns red, and that's where the Red Hand branch knights got their name from. And it is quite probable that there was a Red Hand of Ulster uh, that has got nothing to do with our Celtic invaders. So it's not just quite as simple as that, Regs. Hey, when we come back to do a check, and then I ended up on a tangent. Right, back to Abbots Bromley. The dancers consist of 12 persons, 6 carrying reindeer antlers, the hobby horse, Maid Marian, the jester, a boy carrying a bow and arrow, and another with a triangle beating time along with the musician. The music was originally played on a fiddle, but now accordions are used. The 6 horns consist of 3 painted white, 3 painted brown, and the largest being the big white, which weighs over 25 pounds. They are all mounted on carved wood deer heads, which many believe to be from the 16th century. Each has an area where originally was painted the coat of arms of the chief families associated with Abbots Bromley, i.e., Paget, Bigot, and Wales. Plot records these arms in use and his description of the dance in 1686. And Miss Rice, in her book The History of Abbots Bromley, records a sketch of the 3 Wales arms, which had on its design the stags' heads and antlers. The dancers have in the past centuries always come from families within the village, and some of them, the Abbeys and Bromleys, have long association with the horn dance. Until the 19th century, the dance remained traditionally with the Bromley family, eventually passing to the Fowle family through marriage in the 20th century, and continues with them today. There's still much to discover about unique horn dance, and of course, many theories exist as to its origin and purpose, which is another problem we've come into with a lot of these traditions. Uh, and what I was just talking to you about with rags, we don't have a single definite history on a lot of our shit. So, in short, no one knows, but the celebrations cherished and took to the past, which people of Abbots Bromley feel justifiably proud. Uh, that's a basic overview of that. Just want to check back with StreamYards. Yes, it's almost as if they had a that they had a symbol of a red hand that they needed to come up with a new thing, so they come off with a Viking decided to chop off his own hand. And by the way, if I was a Viking warlord, I think I'd have chopped somebody else's hand off and threw it. Uh, but you know, that's that's not let common sense get into it. Right, hide that current comment. Uh, what else do we have about the horn dance? Uh, 1 second. 1 second. Yeah. Yes, this one has got a little bit of a picture. I'm just going to stop that screen and 1 second, just share this up. Share screen, Chrome tab. That's the one there. Yep. Just got that up. Right. Yes, you have. Good. You can see these guys. We've got accordions here. We've got this young lad here with his bow and arrow. We've got people in the background in some sort of military type uniform with their horns. Uh, it's just a very brief overview. There's nothing more in that. Uh, I seem to have possibly lost the one I wanted. Britannica. No, that's not much better. 1 second. There's an old Aussie Oz hobby horse festival in Presley, Cornwall every May Day. Legend has it that if you're a teenage girl caught by the oath, you will be married and pregnant within a year. That sounds a bit good. Right. I think that's about all we're going to do on the whole horn dance at the minute. Uh, I have quite a chunk of stuff that I want to try and get through tonight. Uh, so there you go. There's horn dancing. 1 second. How long are we in? We're about 19 minutes in. Uh, what are your thoughts on your moving to the right of politics? I think that's a good thing. Uh, Mouse Cat, I'm going to come back to that momentarily. Uh, where was it? Yes. Uh, I think left wing politics are incredibly dangerous for the population. I think this whole woke liberal bullcrap is bad. I think that our climate change policy is going to wreck our economy, and moving to uh, a rigorous science based movement on that and proper education in schools would be a better thing, and moving to the right is the only way it's ever going to happen. Uh, the Wicker Man, 1 second, I need to, Mr. Cat, I need to cough, just give us a second. Wicker Man would have been coastal areas, Scotland, Ulster, probably most places. Part of the Feast of Death and Rejuvenation, which now has Easter sitting on top of it, and it would be part of a celebration. There would have been dances. There was a sword dance as well, and it was in order to try and appeal to the gods for a good harvest. Uh, and they would have had sacrifices of different sorts. So, uh, not stuck to one geographical location. It would have been uh, probably most rural areas the of Great Britain or United Kingdom, Great Britain, Northern Ireland. Yeah, but the took traditions from everywhere, and those old ways would have happened in more places than just those Scottish Islands. Uh, I believe the answer to that. I don't know what happens now in Scotland, but I do know of people who have came across things that look very much like the remnants of a cult sacrifice. Yes, it was part of what we did before we got Christianity. Thanks, Mouse Cat. It's really lovely to hear. Uh, Newsflash: before uh, the a bit of a newsflash, people. Before Christianity became endemic within United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland, we were pagans and we had our own pagan rituals, and a lot of the Christian religious festivals were put on top of pre-existing uh, pagan festivals and changed because it's one thing getting people to move from one religion to another, but you've got to give them their feast days and stuff. So there was a lot of horse trading that happened. The first and second councils of Nicaea, where the Church of Rome and its religion and its feast days and all were formalized and sat around and had discussions about it. Uh, or probably you could do much worse. You could do much worse things than that. Uh, Even if you set aside whether or not you believe that that's a correct man in the sky, and that you've got a God that sees everything, knows everything, hears everything, but needs you to be in a certain place on a Sunday morning to communicate with you. Uh, what you do generally find in churches are good communities, good groups of people, uh, and there's not a lot of them about, and they are traditional. I can think of much worse things to be doing with your time. Right. Okay. That's excellent news. I just want to announce that my wood heater keeps going overnight. I just added a log that should go for about 5 hours. It's very satisfying. That's quite profound. Uh, I think I am the luckiest man alive because I have a belief and I am not constrained by any man's faith. Uh, I haven't really talked about what I believe and how I believe it. Uh, this is going to come. This may come as a surprise to you, but I'm not actually a Protestant. There you go. The person who keeps on talking about Northern Ireland and Ulster is not a Protestant. I believe in a creator. I would be quite pagan in my beliefs, and I believe that there's a trinity of earth, sea, and land. I believe that there's a trinity of uh, family, soil, and tribe. Yep. See, I've just freaked Billy. I've just freaked Billy Blog's brain, haven't I? Oh yes. See, because everything goes on in here in this country, in our wee country. It is. It's not about religion, mate. It's about nationality. Uh, you know, uh, I believe that I can talk with the creator on my own one to one without the need of anyone to intercede. Uh, I talk, I talk to God most days, and He answers me. And from I started doing that, my life has got a lot better. If you're questioning the New Testament but not the Old, Edmund, my first thing to say is the Old Testament's not Christian; it's Jewish. Uh, I've ended up getting into all sorts of stuff now. Oh yes, I was brought up Protestant. Uh, I come from a Protestant loyalist unionist area of Belfast, actually East Belfast. Uh, I I wouldn't call myself a Protestant. I don't go to church. I don't. I'll go for weddings and funerals and whatever that needs to be done or whatever. Uh, but I'm not an atheist. Uh, I have a belief in a creator. Yeah, the Ulster people want to remain British and it's being taken away from us. Um, Not without a bloody big fight. Yeah, I literally talk to God. Like, I look up to the sky and the clouds and shit and go, all right, big man, right, you up there? How's everything going? I'm doing my best. Can you help me out with this? Can you help me out with that? It's, it's actually quite easy. And honestly, from I started doing that, my life has went, my life has went much better than it did. The other thing is, I remember to talk to God whenever I'm thanking Him for stuff, not just whenever I want something. Well, Sansom, part of the problem with the New Testament is around about 300 AD, a bunch of people sat around in a place called Nicene and had the first council of Nicene, and they decided which stories were going in the book and which stories were not. And then I'm not sure exactly how long it was, but I think it was a couple of 100 years after that. They stood around and they went to the same place and they messed with it all again. So that probably has a lot to do with that. Yep, that'll not do you any harm. Christianity's quite a decent way of life. Do no harm to others. Uh, it's just not for me. And what I will say is, it's a moral way to live. There's a good morality. I would say I take my moral views from my Christian upbringing, but uh, it's just not where I see my faith. Now, I'm going to knock these tangents on the head and get my next bit of content up because we have a bit of a historical anniversary going on at the moment. If you need to zoom this in a little bit, zoom in. No, actually, zoom that out. That was too far. Back to StreamYards. I totally agree, Samson. Yep. They put in what they wanted and left out what they wanted. And it had a lot to do with the reduction of the Roman Empire, uh, converting it from a Roman Empire to a Roman Church, where people gave their 10% of everything they owned by free will. Nah, hide that current thing, and where we're going, we are. I would hope so because this stream's been a lot of tangenting, a lot of tangenting. Right, here we go. Next bit of content. Share screen, Chrome tab. Here we go. Share. Bump. We're hitting the Great Fire of London. So here we go with the Great Fire of London. The Great Fire of London. The people of London who have managed to survive the Great Plague in 1665 must have thought the year 1666 could only be better. It couldn't possibly be worse. The poor souls. They could not have imagined the new disaster was to befall them in 1666. A fire started on the 2nd of September in the King's Bakery in Pudding Lane near London Bridge, which is why I'm covering this today, because it's an anniversary of a quite important event in our history. Fires were quite a common occurrence in those days, and were soon quelled. Indeed, when the Lord Mayor of London, Sir Thomas Bloodworth, was woken up to be told about a fire, he replied, "Pish, a woman might piss it out." However, that summer had been very hot and there had been no rain for weeks, so consequently, the wooden houses and buildings were tinder dry. Just dropping back to check the comments. I'm doing my best to get the ad off. Right. Right. A fire started on 2nd of September, King's Bakery, Pudding Lane near London Bridge. Fires were quite common occurrence in those days and were soon quelled. Indeed, when the Lord Mayor. All right, I've read that bit. And here we'll have a picture of people trying to pull down houses. That ad is fucking dope. It's gone. The fire soon took hold. 300 houses quickly collapsed, and the strong east wind spread the flames further, jumping from house to house. The fire swept through the warren of streets lined with houses, the upper stories of which almost touched across the narrow winding lanes. Efforts to bring the fire under control using buckets quickly failed. Panic began to spread through the city. As the fire raged on, people tried to leave the city and poured down the River Thames in an attempt to escape by boat. Absolute chaos reigned, as of as often happens today, as thousands of sightseers from the villages came to view the disaster. Sorry, I had to get some liquid. Uh, Samuel Page and John Evelyn, the diarists, both gave dramatic first-hand accounts of the next few days. Samuel Pepys, who was a clerk of a Privy Seal, hurried off to inform King Charles II. The king immediately ordered that all houses in the path of the fire should be pulled down to create a fire break. This was done with hooked poles, but to no avail as the fire had stripped them. That's the picture that we had there, the hooked poles, and they're trying to pull down the houses to deny the fire fuel. By the 4th of September, half of London was in flames. The king himself joined the firefighters, passing buckets of water to them in an attempt to quell the flames, but the fire raged on. As a last resort, gunpowder was used to blow up houses that lay in the path of the fire, and so create an even bigger fire break. But the sound of the explosion started rumours that a French invasion was taking place, which caused even more panic. As refugees poured out of the city, St. Paul's Cathedral was caught in the flames. The acres of lead in the roof melted and poured down onto the street like a river, and the great cathedral collapsed. Luckily, the Tower of London escaped the inferno, and eventually the fire was brought under control, and by the 6th of September had been extinguished altogether. Only 1/5 of London was left standing. Firstly, all civic buildings had been destroyed, as well as 1,300 private dwellings, but amazingly, only 6 people had died. I want to come back to this. The Bonnie Lad news stream that was on earlier. Morning, Jerry. 1 second, I need to cough. The Bonnie Lad news stream earlier on, the White Pill stream, that we're talking about the Blitz and whatnot, and that was something that was brought on by a foreign power. But you can see here the amount of damage done to London in this by fire, not through ill intent, was as bad or worse, and we rebuilt it again. And so after the Blitz, it's not the first time we rebuilt London, and we can do it again. It's amazing what people can do whenever they put their mind to it. Hundreds of thousands of people were left homeless. 89 parish churches, the guild halls, numerous other public buildings, jails, markets, and 57 halls were now just burnt out shells. The loss of property was estimated at 5 to 7 million. King Charles gave the firefighters a generous purse of 100 guineas to share between them. Not for the last time would a nation honour its brave firefighters. In the immediate aftermath of the fire, a poor demented French watchmaker called Lucky Herbert confessed to starting the fire deliberately. Justice was swift, and he was rapidly hanged. It was some time later, however, that it was realised that he couldn't have started it, as he was not in England at the time. This is why I will always be against capital punishment, except in very, very certain restricted circumstances, because it can't be undone if you find out that the person you've convicted was actually innocent. And I do not trust governments and courts to do a good enough job of making sure that they only ever convict guilty people. Although the fire was a catastrophe, it did cleanse the city. The overcrowded and disease-riddled streets were destroyed, and a new London emerged. A monument was erected in Poodle Lane on the spot where the fire began and can be seen today, where it is a reminder of those terrible days in September 1666. Sir Christopher Wren was given the task of rebuilding London, and his masterpiece, St Paul's Cathedral, was started in 1675 and completed in 1711 in memory of Sir Christopher. There is an inscription in the cathedral which reads, "See monumental requires circumstance. If you seek his monument, look around." And this is a map of London that was left. I'm just going to pop back in. Right. I'm just checking through the comments to see if there's anything that I really need to get involved with. No, I think we're all fine. You need to be 100% certain they are guilty. Those jihadists that murdered people in public and posted on camera explaining why they did. Yes, I totally agree. That is one where you have no doubt whatsoever who it was. It's not even a the confession. The confessions are there and real. You right. So back to this. Yes, that's a map of the London that was left over. Uh, Wren also built 25 of the city churches, and his work turned the city of London into a city we recognise today. The map above, said to be a reproduction of the original, shows Sir Christopher Wren's plan for reconstructing the city following the Great Fire of London. Note in the lower left-hand side the image of Themis, the river god, after whom the River Thames is named. In the upper left-hand side, a mythical get my teeth back in. Phoenix suggests that London would rise from the ashes. Some buildings did survive the conflagration, but only a handful can still be seen to this day. That is pretty much all of that. I have I'm just checking the comments. I don't know anything about that, Mr. Roy. I honestly don't. The Let's make some sort of let's just check something here. Go to a page. The year 1666. That's post-Reformation, so that could be a possibility. But by all accounts, it was the pie shop that just went on fire because they worked with ovens and they weren't careful enough with it. Is pretty much where we're at with that one. One thing that did happen after the Great Fire was it led to organised fire brigades. So I want to do a little bit about the early fire brigades. Except all them cookies. And we're going to London Fire Brigade. For that, I reckon they would be pretty accurate, seeing as it's about them. Uh, just get this up. Share screen. Chrome tab. Early fire brigades. Yep, stone buildings. That was another effect of it. We did go to more stone buildings. Uh, so early fire brigades. Here we go. Did you know that there were no fire brigades before the Great Fire of London? Read on to discover how and why fire brigades were first established. In 1666, London blazed for days. A long dry summer, densely packed homes, flammable building materials were a recipe for disaster. A stray spark from a bakery in Poodle Lane became an inferno and destroyed much of London. This would become known as the Great Fire of London, which we've just talked about. It was a huge financial blow to the city. The cost of the fire was estimated at 10 million. So we've jumped up 3 million from the last source. Maybe the fire brigade bigging themselves up. At a time when London's annual income was only 12,000, many people were financially ruined, and debtors' prisons became overcrowded. The enormous losses suffered by the Great Fire of London led to establishment of fire insurance, where people paid a fee to an insurance company to insure their property against damage. The first insurance company, called the Fire Office, was formed in 1680 by the economist and financial speculator Nicholas Barron. By 1705, it had changed its name to Phoenix, after the Greek mythical bird that rose from the ashes. To protect the properties of their customers and reduce their own losses, most London insurance companies employed up to 30 Thames watermen to put the fires out. However, the term fire brigade was not used until the early 19th century. Fire marks. Metal plaques with brightly painted emblems of each fire insurance company were placed high on the buildings of insured properties. As the places as the plaques were made of metal, they were more likely to survive any fire. The main purpose was to prove that the property was insured in the event of a claim. The height of the plaques prevented people from stealing them and fixing them to their own properties. They also served as advertisements in the days before street numbering and as direction finders. Popular stories suggest that insurance firemen would leave a building to burn if it wasn't insured, insured or insured with a rival company. There's little real evidence to suggest that this was the case. In fact, evidence shows that insurance companies had strict rules that, on pain of dismissal, their firefighting teams should attend every fire they encountered, whether the property was insured or not, and regardless of which company it might have been insured with. Any fire left unchecked could spread to whole streets or neighbourhoods and involve the insurance companies in large scale losses. Multiple cooperation was therefore extremely important. So, did you know you can still see some of the old fire marks on buildings today? Don't forget to look as you walk around the older parts of London. So, if you're in and around old London, have a look up, see if you can see any of that stuff. This is, after all, our history. Each company adopted elaborate and brightly coloured uniforms. This was partly for identification purpose, but mostly as a means of publicity. New uniforms were provided each year to coincide with the insurance company's annual meeting day, and this was an opportunity to parade their men through the streets in a public procession, accompanied by a band of musicians. The custom was later expanded so that the firemen gradually took part in other public processions and became an important part of London's civic life. What a novel idea. Yeah, firefighting equipment remained very basic, but included buckets, axes, and preventers, which were similar to boat hooks, between 8 and 15 feet long. The preventers were used for tasks such as pulling down burning embers. These are sometimes referred to as fire hooks. Oh, and here we'll have a picture of a fire engine. I'm just going to drop back into the chat. You can see the fire marks on old Croydon from 2011. No, Billy, they did not. There's rumors that they did, but in actual fact, their job was to put out any fire they encountered, because dear knows where it would end up. Right. So nice wee picture of an old fire engine that's going to be horse drawn, I would say. Fire engines were usually used by the insurance brigades from the early 1700s, although not in great numbers. The most successful fire engine manufacturer from the 18th century was Richard Newsham, who took out a patent in 1721 for a new water engine for the quenching and extinguishing of fires. This was claimed to be the first to provide a continuous jet of water. Newsham had many rivals, however, and an earlier patent for the same idea had been issued in 1712 to John Gray and Nicholas Mandel. Maintaining a constant water pressure during large fires involved continuous pumping. This was this was exhausting physical work, which called for a relay of pumpers, many of them volunteers. Providing some form of refreshment was essential, as water supplies at the time were not safe for drinking. The pumpers were provided with beer, paid for by the insurance company. In practice, a brigade foreman would claim expenses for the amount of beer which was to be supplied. Ladders were not part of the equipment carried by the insurance brigades, as their priority was saving insured property rather than people. The Fire Escape Society was therefore formed in 1828 to provide manned wheeled escape ladders. These were placed at certain streets each night so that in the event of a fire they could be pushed to the relevant house and used to rescue anyone who was trapped. The ladders were often kept in a churchyard during the day, and therefore rescues only took place during night time. The society was replaced in 1836 by the Royal Society for the Protection of Life from Fire, which shared the same aims. James Bridewood, the London Fire Engine Establishment. Growing trade in the Industrial Revolution had created many more fire hazards and an increased demand for fire insurance. One particular hazard was the densely packed waterside area with high numbers of moored ships and a growing volume of flammable goods stored in the quays in the large warehouse, which continued to expand in size. This was the type of warehouse which later featured in the Great Fire of Tooley Street in 1861. This in turn gave rise to growth in the number of insurance companies and the level of competition between them. There was therefore a need to reduce the cost of many competing fire brigades and to increase efficiency by combining their resources. From the 1st of January 1833, 10 independent insurance brigades merged to form the London Fire Engine Establishment, and others gradually joined them in the next few years. The first superintendent of the London Fire Engine Establishment was James Bradford, previously the firemaster of the Edinburgh Fire Brigade. So Scotland had fully formed fire brigades before England. That's interesting. He had already built an excellent reputation for his training methods and successful leadership. Known as the father of the British Fire Service, he introduced many firefighting principles that remain in use today. These include the emphasis on training and a scientific approach to tackling blazes. He also introduced more practical uniforms with some measures of personal protection. So that's the beginnings of your fire brigades and how and why it happened. Uh, yep, that's a fact. Interesting, interesting fact. Because water wasn't good, everybody drank beer. It wouldn't have been quite as strong as the beer that we have today, but a male labourer was generally entitled to 8 pints of beer a day, and a female labourer 6. And a lot of the farms and stuff, uh, farms and places like that employed a lot of people, would also have their own brewery uh, to provide this because to provide this amount of beer, because the water just, if people drank the water they became sick. They hadn't any, they managed to pollute all the rivers and it wasn't drinkable. Uh, Evening, Chief Moody. How's everything with you? Uh, and with that, we're going to go on to our strange sport intermission. And what we're going to do today is the man v horse marathon. Yes, this is a thing. We have a marathon each year where people compete against horses. Firewomen today have an easier test to pass than the men to become firefighters and get paid the same. This is true. Uh, Strangely enough, we're going to come into a bit about the double standards between men and women in a different sort of a way very shortly. Right. Yes, where we're going. We are going to the man v horse marathon, which happens once a year. I'm going to start with the video about it and then go into the talking bit. Right, go Alpha. I'm going to go back and have a look for that. Go Alpha. Go Alpha. Right, that's Welsh. I'm taking a shot at that. The movie song has Ray Wood on it. Is that what you're talking about? Go Alpha, is that what you're talking about? Who poisoned the whale? I know absolutely nothing about that. I honestly don't. I'll have a look into it, but I know nothing about that. When I was an apple picker in Somerset, I was part paid and cider. That sounds like a good plan. I'm going to go a little further back on Go Alpha to see what the comment was. Go Alpha at 42. I'm going to presume that's Welsh. I don't understand that. Yes, Rags. I will give that a good shout out. But tomorrow at Rags, if you're still awake, stick it in the chat. As I believe it's 7 o'clock we're starting at. But tomorrow night I will be on with Chief Moody on Ragnar Iron Spears stream. Oh, yeah. Right. Yes. Man v horse marathon. We're going to. Oh, first of all, we'll have to get that up. Now for something completely different. Right, hold on. First of all, we need to get past the advertisements, and we're doing our strange sport, something completely different thing. Here we go. Any minute now. Right. Yep. Share screen. You're not going to actually believe this. This is a bit on the nuts side. So here we go. Oh, get that.
Oh, thank you very much. I'll come back next year. This is a cow. This is the mud in the horns, look.
The entrance there. I know it's sort of one or two you can't see, but you'll see what's underneath the
See, that's what I like about this country. We've got fucking people doing absolutely crazy stuff. Here we go. More madness. So there's the runners. Off they go. And here come the horses.
Here he comes. Coming on the right.
I'm going to skip through this a little bit.
Oh, he loves water.
15 minutes now.
Well done.
The shoe allowing
Absolutely delighted. Yeah, it's the first time I've done this kind of race, and obviously the first time I've raced against a horse.
So, right, I'm going to get a little bit more detail about the race, but I think the people have, it's either 15 minutes or half an hour head start, and the horses aren't allowed to fully gallop. And it's, as you can see, it's someone going to come give them the sugar cube. Yeah, it's run over different types of ground. So that's what happens. Now I'm going to get, well, there's a couple of things. Generally speaking, the horse wins. The second thing is the horse. Yep, that's what I love about this country. We've got mad bastards. The horses aren't allowed to fully gallop. They're only allowed to trot, and the horses have to stop with the fats every so often, and that sort of slows them down a bit as well. But where I'm going to next is the article about it. And let me know if you see anything strange about this article. Here we go, just putting it up now. Accept those. Close that. Here we go. StreamYard and share. Share screen. Chrome tab. Share. Here we go. Bath athlete takes podium at prestigious man versus horse race. And we've got a picture of these two ladies. One of them is being given some sort of a prize, and the other one. A Bath athlete took second position in the legendary Man v Horse race over the weekend. Team GB athlete Heller Fail was the second fastest woman to finish the grueling marathon course, which made its return to the Welsh countryside of Pauls on Saturday, June the 11th. This year's race also made history as a man beat the horse for the first time in 15 years. It's only the third time this has happened in the Man v Horse's 41-year history. After being established in the 1980s, the race pits humans up against horses over a 22-mile endurance race. Firefighter Ricky Lightfoot from Cumbria is only the third ever runner to have crossed the finish line before the horse in the event's long 41-year history. They take over the baton from Florin Hollinger, who claimed victory in 2007. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this picture? Do you ever think that maybe they should have had a picture of the man that beat the fucking horse in that place and not the woman who came second in the women's race? Is it just me, or is something a bit off there? He was too male. That's why they've got a picture of the woman who came second because he was male. It's not about color because this woman is white. And that the man that won is also white. But they put in the picture of the woman who came second because yeah, I tell you exactly the reason why they put in the picture of the woman and not oh Hollywood. Night chum. The woman does have horse teeth. You have a point. You do have a point. So that's who gets the headline picture. If this goes on down. Team Olympian and silver medalist within pentathlon, Heather Fell, who lives in Bath, competed as an individual runner and completed the race in 3 hours, 2 minutes, 52 seconds. She was the second fastest female to finish the course. Where's the fastest female? She told Hugh Newsroom, I had zero expectations of making the podium, which was just the best feeling. What a historic year to take place when the man finally beats the horse after so many years. It was an incredible experience with a great community feel and so unusual to run against horses, unlike anything I've ever done before. The first time you hear the galloping hooves behind you, your heart starts thudding. It was a great atmosphere from the race marshals, competitors, and lots of spectators. Everyone was full of cheer, and there was a sense of camaraderie. Every season seemed to hit us, and the terrain was very varied. I've never run quite so many hills. My legs are totally ruined. I've been left with a huge smile on my face. And there's a picture of a horse burned down on somebody. So, yep. Why do we have a picture of a woman that didn't win the race where the race winner should be? Because fucking potato. So there you go. So Jack Arden one, right? No, I can't remember the guy's name, but it was it was in. Oh, actually, I think it was in that. 1 second. Go to page. It was a firefighter. Ricky Lightfoot from Cumbria was the guy that beat the horse, but we didn't actually get his picture because potato or possession of a penis. So there we go. That's that. What else did I want to cover? I did. I had other stuff. Yes. Here we go. As you all know, what I cover here is our culture, tradition, heritage, the things that we do that make us different. I try to cover them round about the time that they happen, which is why we have the horn dance stuff on the week before the horn dance is coming. Why we did London Fire, the Great Fire of London, on the anniversary of the Great uh, Fire of London. There is one cultural event that I have done quite a job of dancing around and not commenting on that happened recently, which would be the Notting Hill Carnival. However, I'm going to be talking about the Notting Hill Carnival tonight because something happened that makes it interesting. Or there are calls for change that make it interesting. We're going to go with this first link. One second, I need to do a bit of. Crap, I was muted. Sorry. Yes, mute way. Sorry. I muted the cough and I forgot to put it back on again. Hope we should have sound. Yeah, I was coughing then. I forgot. I started talking again, but I hadn't put on muted, which was a bit bad. But anyway, thank you all for your patience. Yeah, the fact that it was dangerous did do a lot to stave off any enrichment. Whenever things were going boom, nobody seemed to want to move here. Strangely, you would be hard to judge what call away. Anyway, Notting Hill Carnival. Calls for Notting Hill Carnival to be moved after 2 police officers sexually assaulted. The chair of the Metropolitan Police Federation says officers don't have the resources to cope with the carnival, calling for it to be held in a private area instead. And here we have the police. These are these guys are in TSG, Tactical Support Group, get up overalls and stuff. They've got their batons, but they're still in soft hats. This woman in the middle here with a different hat is obviously in charge of all these men, and she's the one that's going to be telling them to go break up whatever trouble it is. Great to see the way she's going to be leading from the front. Oh no, that's right, she's bang smack in the middle. They're basically protecting her at the moment. But there you go. That's my 2 pence worth on that. Calls have been made for Notting Hill Carnival to be moved after this year's celebration. So, 2 female police officers sexually assaulted and a young rapper stabbed to death, and more than 200 arrests made. One of the officers was grabbed around the neck and kissed on the face without her consent. The Metropolitan Police said that the man had subsequently been charged with sexual assault. Foreign Murty, 46, from Islington, North London, is due to appear at Westminster Magistrates Court on 19th of September. The second officer was surrounded by a group of men who danced and grinded against her. Despite colleagues coming to her assistance, it was not possible to detain the group at the time, and an investigation is underway, the force added. The chairman of the Met Police Federation, Ken Marsh, described the incidents as disgusting. Speaking to LBC's Nick Ferrari, he said, "Sexually assaulted by numerous males during the carnival. My thoughts go out to that individual right now," and there's obviously something missed out of that quote. He added the officers had seized dozens of knives, stopped around 200 or 300 fights over the weekend. There were so many of my colleagues injured, assaulted, etc. Members of the public seriously assaulted, Mr. Marsh said. He has called for the carnival to be held in a private area, saying the situation is absurd and cannot continue. And here we have a picture of a bunch of police in fully soft uniforms all standing around. The murder will be down our throats quicker than you can blink. It should be a private area. It should be a private area, Hyde Park, etc., where it can be fenced off and people can be controlled, he added. We don't have the resources to deal with it. This is tens of millions of pounds of public money that's spent on policing this. We are left ultimately responsible for it. Whatever goes wrong, and the murder will be down our throats quicker than you can blink if something terrible goes wrong. I don't know. I haven't heard him say too much about the death. The first carnival took place in Notting Hill in 1966, following a period of tension in the area caused by the racially motivated murder of 32-year-old Antiguan-born resident. Do they have proof that it was racially motivated? It was set up as a children's street fair by community activist Rahanu Lassett and saw the Russ Henderson Steel Band perform through Portobello Road as locals spontaneously danced in the street, according to the carnival's website. I wonder if they'll have video footage of that, of what actually did happen. Because, I don't know, we're saying we were good. So there you have it. They're talking about moving that to somewhere that it can be better controlled. Now, the police could very simply tell the organisers that they need to control it, and they need to move it to an area where it can be controlled. The police get a call on that. I doubt it's going to happen because it would not be politically expedient. Exactly. So I've got another one that I want to, right, I need to stop screen. Right, I have another one that I want to share. This could be construed as funny, but it's probably not. Here we go. It's another story from the Notting Hill Carnival. And I'm going to go ahead and share this. Share screen, Chrome tab. Here we go. A mind-blowing 3.5 tons of see if we can get rid of these. I can. A mind-blowing 3.5 tons of laughing gas canisters collected during Notting Hill Carnival cleanup. There we go. There's a picture of one skip full. Street cleaners have collected a mind-blowing 3.5 tons of laughing gas canisters following the Notting Hill Carnival, which is causing delays in the cleanup process. The huge number of nitrous oxide canisters have to be separated from other rubbish for safety purposes, which is proving to be a time-consuming task. Crews expect to have collected 4 skipfuls with more than 10,000 canisters that contain the gas with the street named Hippie Crack by Friday. Suez UK said teams have been working around the clock to clear up the area and have faced unprecedented challenges this year due to police barricades, the high volume of nitrous oxide canisters, which must be separated by hand for safety purposes. Gary O'Hagan, in charge of Notting Hill cleanup operation for the waste management company, said the sheer amount of canisters is mind-blowing and causing a real problem for crews. The canisters have to be hand separated. How many times do you need to say that? This has significantly slowed down the operation, and we will have to rethink the collection method for next year. By Friday, it's likely that we will have filled 4 skip containers with over 1,000 or more canisters. The standard understands close to 5 tons is expected to be collected by Friday. Kensington and Chelsea councillor Emma Will said, "The Carnival is a wonderful reflection of our diverse multicultural community, but we also want to return the streets back to normal as soon as possible with minimal disruption. The 200 crew members have been significantly slowed down by the sheer volume of canisters, but nonetheless, we are working very hard to clean up the site as quickly as possible." Suez has received complaints from local residents about the time it has taken to clear the streets, with one person claiming on Twitter it has been terrible. More than 200 waste collectors and the street cleaners have been working to clear the area and recycle 30% of the waste. There we go. Food canisters all over the place. An estimated 300 tons of rubbish has been collected. Kensington and Chelsea Council said the huge haul of discarded food containers, drinks cans, and laughing gas nitrous oxide canisters weighed the same as 25 double-decker London buses. Laughing gas or nitrous oxide is an increasingly popular drug. Doctors in the UK have issued a warning over the rise in patients being admitted to hospital following a number of warnings, say police. Specialist neurologists and toxicologists have revealed that there have been a 257% rise in serious poisonings from abuse of gas, with young people being admitted to emergency departments approximately every 2 weeks, according to The Independent. The 2019-20 crime survey for England and Wales, almost 9% of 16 to 24-year-olds said they'd taken nitrous oxide in the last year, a rise of 61% from 2012-2013. So there you go. There has been a lot of laughing gas on the go there. Why were those canisters there? Because people were taking the laughing gas that was inside them. That's why. At a huge, phenomenal rate. Emma G, was Jimmy from Philly there? That's a fair question. That would be even a lot for Jimmy. It's a new phenomenon due to it becoming more readily available. Is that would be the main reason for it. It's become more available, better priced, whatever, and it's, I would say, a lot of those a lot of the drug has had an effect on the law and order. And now for something completely different. And I don't do a lot of news in these streams. There are better people, there are other people better equipped to cover a lot of news stories, but this one come up and I didn't want to ignore it. I've been seeing a problem with this issue for quite some time, and I'm going to at least make some people aware of it. So, parents lose bid to stop mandatory gender and sex education lessons in primary schools. This is primary schools. This is your 5-year-olds, people. And these are a group of people from Wales. Education, not sexualization. We do not consent. Parents have lost a High Court bid to stop primary school children being taught mandatory relationship and sex education in schools. Campaigners against the Welsh Government's new Relationships and Sexuality Education (RSE) curriculum sought a High Court injunction to prevent the policy that is due to come in next week being taught to children from the age of 7. 7-year-olds do not need to know any of this shit. They don't. They need to be involved in figuring out what their favorite color is. Maybe whether like pan chips or fish and chips. Where they need to be. Not with anything to do with sex or gender. The legal challenge was brought by Public Child Protection Wales, who say the RSE curriculum is inappropriate for primary age children. I would 100% agree. They wanted the judge to order a temporary ban until a judicial review into the curriculum is heard later this year, or an opt-out for parents to remove their children from the mandatory classes, as is the case in England. But a High Court judge refused the application, saying the claimants did not show any evidence of their children being harmed during the induction period. Miss Justice Tipples said their claim was founded on calculated assertions, which were not good enough. She added that apart from generalized objections to the root of the claim, the evidence does not actually identify whether, between now and the date of the hearing in November 2022, any of the claimant's children will be taught anything to which the claimant objects. Leading on from that, there's also no evidence before the court as to what, if any, harm is said the claimants or any of their children are likely to suffer in the event the injunction sought is not granted. The judge also said the court could not order the Labour-led Welsh Government to excuse individual children from the curriculum because there is no legislative authority to do so, and criticised the delay in seeking the injunction. She added, "There's nothing in the claimant's evidence that any of the 3 children to whom RSE will be taught in 2022-23 academic year will suffer any harm, yet alone any irreparable harm." Critics have claimed that the code is trying to erase girls and women from society and make them invisible. Barrister Paul Diamond, representing the parents, had told the court that the new curriculum was full of buzzwords like starting young, diversity, and LGB, but did not make space for traditional family values. I think he's actually got a very strong point here, because if you're going to teach relationships, I think you need to actually teach traditional relationships as well. He said every lesson, every class, from maths to geography, will be infused with this. It's akin to indoctrination, and there's failure to respect parental wishes. There has been a shift in the liberal order, the right of individuals to choose their own good life without state interference, and their requirement that people and individuals and private organisations must have the same views endorsed by the state. At last, we've got people talking sense. At long last. He added, "It's a question of children and parents' rights. It is going to shift the balance between the state and the parents. This is just the beginning. Who runs the children, the parents or the state?" Miss Justice Triples ordered the claimants to pay £12,000 towards the cost of the Welsh Government defending the injunction appeal. So that's good. You get to pay for whenever you try to take the government down a legal route, you get to pay for the government's defence. The parents will get a second chance to stop RSE at a further judicial review hearing in November. A Welsh Government spokeswoman said that they are confident that all the reforms are proportionate and lawful, adding, "All schools which are rolling out the curriculum in September will teach RSE in a developmentally appropriate way as required by the legislation. This means all learners in the schools will receive RSE, which is critical to keeping them safe." See, this is for your own good. Emma Sutton, representing the Welsh Government ministers, said concerned parents should raise any particular concerns or grievances with the schools themselves rather than the Welsh Government. So the Welsh Government tell the schools what they have to teach, but you take your individual problem up with the school, and the school's now mandated to teach this this content. I don't see how that works. The RSE code states the Welsh Government committed to covering the following themes in RSE: relationships, rights and equality, sex, gender, sexuality, bodies and body image, sexual health and well-being, violence, safety and support. To assist schools setting in their plans of RSE, these themes are interwoven into the learning strands. What I don't see anywhere here is see a lot about rights. I don't see anything about responsibilities. I also would be quite worried about how the violence aspect of that is going to be treated. Are they going to teach that all people can be a victim of violence or just women and girls? Across the learning strands, curriculum content in RSE must be inclusive and reflect diversity. Because, fuck it, why not? It must include learning that develops learners' awareness and understanding of different identities, views, and values, and diversity of relationships, gender, and sexuality, including LGBTQ plus lives. Oh, and there's a poll. Does a ban on children's phones at school? Yeah, I'm not getting involved with the phone thing. So there you go. That's what's happening in Wales. Edmund, you would be correct. Plaid Cymru are indeed Marxist, as are Sinn Féin. Sleep well, mouse cat. Glad you kept with us as long as you did. So there you go. Still transparent who were. $42, yes, but their goal is to put children between their parents so that they become the endemic fifth column to grass their parents up for wrong think. Yes, that's exactly what's going on here. And anybody that doesn't want their 7-year-old child taught about sex and relationships, and that relationships could be between males and females, females and females, males and males, is a radical. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous. But I'm glad to see that those people in Wales are actually fighting back. I'm quite curious as to why in England the parents have got a direct option of putting their kids from the classes, and in Wales they don't. It seems to be in Wales you're the school have, or the government have come up with a curriculum, and you're in for everything. The one thing I will say is, I think this will increase the level of homeschooling. Now, this is the last bit of content I'm going to do tonight, and it's a little bit about what the city council's doing in Belfast. And there's some of it's okay and some of it's not so much okay. What I want you to do is stick a 1 in the chat as soon as you see something that's wrong with this story. Right? Whenever you see something that's obviously just a little bit skew with, start sticking 1s in the chat. And I click back. Belfast City Council workers are set to receive a cost of living support payments. I'll say up front that city councils are in a unique position that they employ people, and they can, if they wish, decide to vote through a package of support for them. More than 2,000 Belfast City Council workers, BCC workers, are set to receive extra financial support to help deal with the cost of living pressures. Subject to ratification in next week's meeting of the full council, the workers will receive 2 payments of £666 each. It has been agreed in principle to also give payments to agency workers hired by the council. The decision was made during a behind closed doors portion of a meeting of BCC Strategic Policy and Resource Committee last week. People Before Profit councillor Fiona Ferguson welcomed the move. I am very glad the council will offer workers facing the cost of living crisis a payment to support them through the winter months. In the absence of serious intervention from Stormont to protect the people during the crisis, these payments could be a lifeline, she told Belfast Telegraph. Did anybody see a bit of a problem? Yep. Here we go. It's a Duck's got it. Axel Fagan's got it. Sansom's got it. James Hayworth's got it. 666 quid. Yes. Now, what's happened here is they have sat in a committee meeting. Man, right, we're going to have to give them, we're going to give our workers a bit more money, and oh, we don't pay council tax here. we don't pay that. We pay rates, which is similar, but it's not as much as the way the council tax is. We pay rates, but yeah, they've sat around in a meeting, and how much we're going to give them? Right, we'll give them two payments of 666 quid, because that number's got no fucking significance whatsoever. None. It's just fine. We can do that. It's not that that's the mark of the beast, and the commerce, the enter into commerce, and the end times you have to take the mark of the beast, that being a human number of 666. No, fuck, it's just fucking perfect. Like, in all honesty, they could have made a decision to give them one payment of £600 and one payment of £660 and one payment of £670, but they just went ahead and went, yeah, fuck, 666 quid. We'll give them that twice. What the fuck? Whenever somebody put that number forward, everybody else just went, yeah, fuck, we'll do that. Why not? And I actually went and had a look, watched the full session where that was to be ratified, because they put it out on the internet and you can watch the full council meetings. You can probably do that in most places, to be fair. And whenever it went to that bit being debated in the House, it went to a private meeting because it involves pay and the union and stuff. So we don't know what exactly happened. But it seems to have been ratified. Right. So that's pretty much all of my content that I had planned on. We are currently on, hold on, we're on 1 hour 48, and it is 20 past 1. It's all good. What else I want to say? Yes. Riding Orange Spear tomorrow, Sunday, from 7 o'clock. I'll be on along with him. He's got other guests on. Jack London can't do it for 12 minutes. Well, we say in 12 minutes. Right. Right. I've stuck the link in the chat if anybody wants to come on, have a natter for a bit. Very welcome to come on. Yes, so you've got Rags tomorrow night. Then after Rags tomorrow night, you will have Scott's Armour doing his thing. So follow on from Rags to sounds like a plan. Yeah, so you've got that after Rags, you've got after Rags, you've got Scott's Armour, and Sansom will be going live, I believe, with Sensibilities on Tuesday evening, which will lead into John Davison's stream. So very good. And I would also say any of you that didn't come here via Amigos News earlier on Saturday evening, if you like what I do on Saturday night, you will like their show that comes on before it. Oh, right. Samson's not doing a stream this Tuesday. That's right. I remember he said he might have something coming on. He might have something coming up. So not this week, but John Davison will be streaming later, and then you'll probably have him the following week. No, mate, it's not a Zippo. It's a cheap shit disposable one, and it's just a little bit too close to the. I got a little bit too close to the mic. Yep, it's a duck. That's right. Sansom is Tuesday week. Well, Wookie, thank you very much. I'm glad to hear that. I hope you all enjoy. And Emma G has a weekend off, very rare. And she's also booking herself gym classes for Monday before she goes back to work. She's all over it like a bagel. Off we go. All good. Stuck Scots. There was something else back here I wanted to. Rates were better. Thatcher was sabotaged by her own cabinet with the poll tax scheme, which stayed the same, but was then relabeled council tax under John Bull Major, another traitor. I'll agree with that. We never got poll tax that went the council tax for. They had seen the sort of backlash it caused on the mainland, and I think they probably figured that we might just be a little bit better organised than Iran, and they didn't want to have that fight, so we stuck with rates through the whole thing. And we have a cheeky Viking. Good evening. Mr. Viking. Hello, can you hear me? Hold on, I'm just going to check my settings. Audio. Try now. Test. Cheeky Viking, can you hear me? Resisting the lies.
What, like?
Right, Resisting the lies, I've got you, I can hear you, that's all good. Cheeky Viking, you seem to be having a bit of a mic issue.
Good evening, can you hear me now?
Yes, got you now.
Good.
Oh, comment. Fuck's sake, it's a duck. Oh, wow. Oh, Jesus. Anyway, sorry. Oh, that was great here. Oh, wow.
Well, Resisting the lies, how's you?
I've got another funny story actually that happened to me today. It's becoming a repeat occurrence. Like, I'm not bad. Before I tell my story, I'm not bad. I like Yourselves?
I'm doing good. What about you, Mr. Viking?
Oh, I'm doing good as well, thanks. I'm just a bit restless tonight, as I seem to have undiagnosed insomnia. I go to bed tired and I just can't bloody sleep.
You know that fucking feeling, like. Trust me. Different reasons, though, admittedly, but you know.
Yeah. Have you tried exercising directly before bed?
No. I just assume that I'll go to sleep because I'm exhausted and I've been lying around for 2 hours and I just cannot sleep at all. So I'm probably going to go up and roll a ciggy and just make a cup of tea and just sit up and work with the stream.
You are
Yeah.
pure colonised drinking tea. Like, come on, you're in Scotland. It's iron brew or nothing.
I don't have any iron brew, buddy. I have 7-Up though.
Nah, fair enough. That's about. Nah, honestly, boys, you might find this story kind of funny. There was a split second today that I thought, and I don't make light of this, by the way, that I was going to get raped. Okay, now hear me out. Okay, so I've taken to going out with my dog hiking recently, right? And I went to this walk today, and like you can walk all the way down the loch, but I missed. I got lost at the trail and ended up doing like a 180 on myself, and ended up back at the car. So I was like, right down. So I decided to go back down the trail where I'd started, but then turn left instead of right. And then I walked for about 10 minutes, and then it came face to face with a rake of bushes, and then it was the waterfront. So I was like, what the fuck's going on here? But then I clocked a babe. There was a babe, right, in a purple top, staring at me from across the water. So I thought nothing of it at first. Okay, just with my dog, nothing to, he's just obviously a sightseer, a tourist taking a photo. So I went back through the bushes, then went to another part to take a photo, and what I see the babe again. And he's still staring at me, but he's hiding behind a tree. So at this point, I'm thinking, what the fuck's going on here? Like, what the fuck's going on here? So at this point, I shit you not, for a moment or two, I genuinely thought, I'm going to get raped by a babe, like in the middle of nowhere, because I'd lost, and all I've got for protection is my fighting capabilities, which might not be very much in the grand scheme of things against a rapey babe, but and I've got my jack wrestle. But anyway, so I thought, right, okay, this is getting weird. I'm going back to the car, and then about like 3 or 4 minutes later, he just appeared out of nowhere, like literally out of nowhere, started storming towards me. I was like, oh shit! So I pulled my lighter out, which is an old technique from back in the day for fighting. You put a clipper in your clench a clipper in your hand. I was like, right, this gets terrible down here, like I chained up. But then I clocked his t-shirt, and he was a Highland Council Ranger or something, and he had an English accent. Of course he did. He was like, oh what? How you doing, mate? What you up to? Just wondering what you're doing. And I was like, all right, okay. So I mean, calmness set in straight away. He was just doing his job. But honestly, I swear to God, like a babe hiding in the bushes, like shit staring. What the fuck, man? I thought I was gonna get raped there. So yeah, that's my story.
Well, at least it had a happy ending for you as well. You got a happy ending. Not literally.
Oh, fucking oh, Jesus. Do you know what went through my head though, in truth? I mean, as I say, I don't want to really talk about like the R word too much more, like that must be what like women feel like when they're like walking home and see like creepy men and I thought that was what happened, like, but I have started a wee Telegram channel for me and my dog, and I've just been posting all my sightseeing adventures over the course of the weekend, and that, like, very therapeutic getting out and about in the Scottish Highlands, like.
Of course. I just have one question, DJ. What the hell is a BAME with an English accent doing it that far up in the country?
Well, I could ask the same question of what the fuck a BAME's doing in Germany.
I mean, I think he's out of his depth. In his neck of the woods.
He sounds like, I don't know if we've ever heard Steve Cray speak, but he sounded like Steve Cray. Like really, really like thick English accent. Like,
no, I've never heard Steve's voice at all.
Mate, oh no, what?
You know where I expect that kind of person to be? Down in Glasgow or Edinburgh, but not that far up in the north.
Yeah, but aye. I don't want to hijack the stream too much of my story like that.
No.
What have you been up to then, boys?
On you go.
Not a lot. MSG was down today. I made some fucking yummy burritos. Because we're trying to reduce the carbs and stuff. So we had like chicken and sausage and mushroom, onion, tomato, all bunged into a burrito. It was fucking lovely. We're in the town today. We had to do a couple of bits and pieces. That's a bit ahead of it for me, and then getting sorted out for the stream. So not a lot.
Burritos, not a fan of them. Like, not a fan. Are you a chef? Like, a bit of a cook?
No, I'm not a bit of a cook. I just cook for me. And just, yeah, you know, I've got this thing of wanting. I've got to cook food. So everything I cook is really fucking basic and bland. I'm gonna tell you that, like, but it's also nice. You know, I actually do enjoy the process of cooking. You know, I like pottering about in the kitchen and making food. And it's hard to, if you're trying to cut down on carbs, which is what I'm trying to do, it's hard to do that without going to something like a burrito.
Mm-hmm. No, I just don't like, to be honest. I don't know, but I do. I mean, my cooking abilities don't stretch very far, but I've been on the same diet for years, like, and I've never. I mean, since I was about 18, 17, and it's done me no bad because I'm not a fat boy, and I'm no skinny either. Well, I've always been naturally broad anyway, but like I've never, because of the job that I've always been in, like building sites and that combined with my diet, I've always been stocky. I think stocky is the right word, which is simply it's all I have for my dinner every night is pork and fish.
Yeah.
Every night. It sounds really boring, right? This isn't like some keto diet or vegetarian or no, just fish and pork or steak. You know, and it can be expensive, especially with today's proceedings, but does me no bad. Like,
yeah, but the other thing is, you're still a young thing. Wait till you hit 45 and the pin gets pulled in the fucking fat grenade.
Well, I'm not looking forward to that. Like,
yeah, I swear to God, I was thin all my life up until about 45, and everything like that. I mean, my life was pretty much the same. Oh, to be fair, my dad has. I've been eating more. That since 2012, whenever I skipped the witch, I would say I've been eating more than it was previous. But I mean, my diet's not bad. I would say, but I do have a beer gut. Yeah. And that's that's purely down to my liquid intake, which I probably.
Just out of curiosity, how tall are you? Like,
I
think height does have something to do with it. You know,
I'm approximately 5'7".
Holy shit! I'm 6'3". So I think that's part of the reason. But like, it's very surreal to see somebody my height that's a big fat boy. Like, you know,
yes,
they're normally that's what I'm like. They're normally really lanky, so that's what I'm saying. I don't know if it's my genetics or it's my diet. I would reckon it's probably more likely to be my diet. Even when I was a kid, I was never one for like confectionaries or like any of that crap. Never really. I never had a sweet tooth, and it served me well, I think, in truth, because as I say, I'm stocky. Even with all the things that I explained on John Davidson's stream the other week that I used to get up to, I still was stocky. Like it's just I don't know. So it has to be my diet. It has to be like because I'm not going to sit here and say that I've got superior genetics. It's got to be that. Where did your man go? Like,
don't know. He bailed. I didn't kick him. He jumped of his own accord. Like I don't eat a lot of chocolate or sweets or whatnot. My big falling down on weight, I would say, is going to be my liquid intake. But other than that, also after about between 45 and 50, the pen definitely got put in the fat grenade, and I've been. And don't get me wrong, I'm not fat. I'm just fatter than Cheeky Vikings coming back. I'm just currently heavier than I would like to be. So I'm changing my diet a bit, and I'm also getting back to going to the gym. And Emma's getting back to going to the gym as well. So we're doing a bit of that together, which is really good. I'm enjoying that.
Like your Cheeky Viking or XL Viking, whatever, mentioned saving up earlier on. I can't remember the last time I had, apart from alcohol, obviously, a fizzy beverage. I don't even like the only things that I'll have is water or apple juice. Like I'm boring. I am a boring man in terms of my diet, but it's as I say, it's worked wonders for me. Like telling you, as for chocolate, I must have been a kid last time I had chocolate. I can't remember. It must have been when I was a kid. But no, it doesn't appeal to me. I don't like McDonald's, Burger King, and I mean, it's not bad if you won't buy it, but I wouldn't work my way to go buy it. You know what I mean?
Oh, McDonald's is absolutely fucking stinking. I haven't had a McDonald's for about 5 years, and I got one because it was like, yeah, fuck, you know what, you haven't. It might actually not be as bad as you think, and I was in a hurry for food, and it was there, and I got it and was like, yeah, no, I wish I hadn't done that. It was just not good.
No, and then when you watch these videos that I used to watch when I was a kid, because I was very, very weird, people would put like McDonald's burgers in like a glass jar, and they'd be sat there for like 20 years. And like they don't even mold. Like no, I think I'll pass. Like you know what I mean?
There's a museum. There's a museum in Iceland, I believe, has the last McDonald's meal that was made in the country whenever they kicked them all out. It's been there for years and years, and it's still not gone off.
It's disgusting. No wonder why sperm counts are declining across the West. Like, yeah, what you're eating, I'm telling you. But,
well, Cheeky Viking, welcome back.
Thank you. I don't know what happened there, but my connection just failed, and I was scrambling to get back into the stream. I didn't jump ship, so I don't want anybody to think that I buggered off. Wasn't the case.
And here was me thinking that you took offence to my BAME story, you know.
Well, you need to know I am actually a BAME in disguise. So yeah, I took offence.
Rubber lip.
There's nothing wrong with rubber lip. What are you doing, Mike? What are you doing?
Oh, anyway, so what about yourself then? What have you done this weekend then, Gudgy?
Sorry, is that me you're asking, or
yeah.
42? So just the sound is breaking up.
Yourself, Cheeky, what have you been up to?
Not a lot really. Just staying in the house for most of the day because the weather has been pretty shit. Just looking out the window, the usual pocket of rage bubbling in my stomach when I see the way my neighbourhood has become like a ghetto. Because it now seems to be more and more non-Scots and a lot of POCs, and it's just getting on my nerves every time. And there's hardly English to be heard when I do go out. It's just all mumble jumble languages. But if I voice my concern about any of it, of Of course, I'm going to be labelled with every label under the sun. I'm probably get a warning if it gets to the point with the police becoming involved. So yeah, my day apart from that has been absolutely wonderful.
I love
Yeah.
that. Just Streaky Baker's comment there. People in Scotland complaining about the weather. What a surprise! Well, try and live here, mate. You know what I mean? It's normally. But to be fair, actually, it's been quite decent weather up here the last wee while, and I don't mean like exceptionally decent. Like climate change. Nah, I just mean it's been bearable. And there's not been that much rain. It has rained, but not as much as we're used to. But
It was dry here all week until fucking Friday. I got off for the weekend and it's rained ever since. And that's about 3 weeks in a row it's done that. I'd say fucking dry all week and then bump weekend. Rain.
It's been alright. I mean, even when I went, when I was at the lock the day, it was raining a wee bit on the way to the lock, but when I actually got there, it was just mundane. I guess is probably the correct word to use there. Just very it was grey skies, but that's what it normally is here. It's just grey skies. We don't get the lovely weather that you get down in Glasgow and whatnot. It's just boring. Like Inverness in general. I think there's some symbology there, to be honest.
Although up around that lock, even whenever it's a bit miserly, I reckon it'll still be nice, provided it's not like driving rain and stuff.
What is like the weather like over where you live normally on average? Because I mean, obviously the stereotype is in Scotland it's just pissing with rain all the time, which pretty true. But
Ours would be pretty similar. We generally get 2 to 3 good weeks during the summer, but you have no idea exactly when they're going to come. Like it could be June, July, August. You'll get a couple or 3 good weeks during that 3-month period, but will not necessarily be together.
Yeah.
It's generally speaking, it would be in the summer. You're probably a good day. You're getting like 20 degrees. And if you have any interest or hobbies that you do outdoors, you need to get yourself a coat because if you're going to wait for dry days to do them, it's not happening.
Yeah, Scotland's kind of the same. In truth, it's like you get the old joke used to be you get about 2 weeks of good weather during the summer holidays or the summer period, and then you'd get the proverbial sort of heat wave, if you will, as they call it now, which really pisses me off. But then the minute it rains after that small section of days that's warm, that we just say to each other, that's the end of our summer. There's a reason Scottish people are borderline albino in terms of their pigmentation. And we just don't get the sun at all, really, And then when we do get it, we moan. And then we moan all the time. You can allude to. We moan all the time. If it rains, we moan, and if it's sunny, we moan.
We're due a few good days now because the other thing that generally happens is we get a little bit of good weather whenever the kids go back to school.
Our summer's over. Like I even seen a headline, an STV user sign, making reference to the fact that our summer's over now. So no more sun. It's back to the shit weather.
Anybody who believes in climate change obviously hasn't spent much time in Scotland.
No, absolutely not. Like that. Well, this is the thing though. What they're doing is, I mean, I think it's the same everywhere, but it's obvious in Scotland now. It's like if it rains, the government and the media simultaneously and respectively, they come out with all these warnings about the rain, like all these weather warnings. I mean, like they totally overspout, like they try to dramatize it. And if it's sunny, just even slightly sunny, they do the same thing where they talk to no end about heat wave this, heat wave that. And then there was even when the wee period of weather that a couple of weeks back where they were saying like the hottest day on record, which they took the temperatures next to airports and stuff. But point being though, the Scottish government has some like emergency team set up to give you like day to day, daily, hourly advice on what to do to combat the weather. It's like what the but I think all these things just sort of subliminally or subconsciously then play into people's psyches and makes them think that this weather that we're seeing, irrespective of what it is, whether it's sunny or raining, etc., they think it's adverse, they think it's extreme, and it's not. It's not extreme, but that's what they do. Like,
yeah, it's the other thing is about 2 to 3 years ago, they changed the definitions of all the weather warnings. So what used to be an amber alert became like a red alert or whatever it was. So we've had more weather warnings than we previously had, but they changed all the parameters.
I must have done the same. I'm trying to find this online because I posted this a while ago, but they must have done the same thing here. I mean, it is getting a bit stupid now, though. Like the slightest bit of heat, and they just go into a meltdown. Pardon the pun, but it's obviously done by design.
Well, those weather warnings all changed UK wide. What happened? This is part of the bollocks. I'm also a health and safety rep in the place where I work. Right now, by health and safety rep, I'm a union health and safety rep. I'm not the person that goes around saying you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't do the other. My job is to primarily attend the health and safety meetings with the management and try to get the place a bit more safer. But my primary job is somebody does something stupid, hurts himself, and work. They come to me before they go anywhere near a manager, and then I figure out how it's definitely the company's fault and not theirs. And then they go forward. That's basically my role. But about 3 years ago, there was all these weather warnings on the radio, and boys were coming to me going, "What's this mean? Does that mean that the company have to let us go home and blah blah blah?" So, I mean, right, fuck it. I phoned up the Met Office and asked them, right, blah, blah, I'm 42 here. I'm a health and safety rep with blah blah, and I've got guys coming to me asking what these weather warnings mean, and to be totally honest with you, I don't know. So could you give me a definition? And the guy was like, "Actually, do you know what? I don't know either, so I'm going to look it up." So he looked it up, and it turned out what he says is this has all changed, and what used to be a slight warning has become severe. And what it basically means is listen to the radio for weather updates and take actions accordingly. That's how I found out that it all changed, and that's why we've got so many weather warnings that we didn't have before. And then in about 2 years' time, you're going to have, in the past 5 years, we have had X amount of weather warnings, and in the previous 5 years previous to that, we had half of that.
Jesus, what the fuck? I'll let X or cheeky, whatever you want to call yourself, if they like jump in, because can somebody tell me what month was it when these heat waves allegedly whatever were? Was it August or July? Because I'm looking through the Scottish.
It was actually late July, early August, because we were getting a lot of that down here. But it was, don't get me wrong, it was gorgeous weather. But it was a trifle hot, but it wasn't unbearably hot as the media were trying to make out.
Okay.
That sunshine was liquid in this country.
Got it. Look at this. No, sorry, don't worry. We're no tabs open or whatever. Like,
Right.
look at this nonsense. Look, this is what I'm talking about with the Scottish government. Right? Look at this shit. Right, Seamus Green. Right. So this was obviously at that time period. Caution advised in extreme heat. But look at this, right? So it says here. Look at this. Keith Brown, who's a dickhead, by the way, has chaired a Scottish Government Resilience Committee meeting to monitor the impacts of the Amber Warning, right? And while Transport Scotland's Resilience Room is closely monitoring impacts across the transport network, right? And then you just come down and you want to see some of the absolute big brainery on display when it comes to the advice that was given to us by our nationalistic government. So we've got from the Met Office where, they've warned that some people are likely to experience some adverse health effects because of the sun. And the advice given, stay indoors or be shaded. Drink plenty of cool fluids. Oh, thanks for that. Oh, wow. I could have told you that. Go buy fucking Calypso. And then eat cold foods. Take a cool shower or bath or body wash. Sprinkle water over your skin. I mean, this is wet wipery, like the highest degree of wet wipery.
Yeah.
Like, come on. And then
How you talk to children of preschool age.
it's total mothering, but it's just this. This is what I was referring to earlier on. As I said, Keith Brown dickhead, but the Scottish Government's Resilience Committee, like what? Oh, they frustrate me. It's like I don't know how to describe my disdain, my contempt for that odious organisation that call themselves the Scottish Government. All I can really say is they are a bunch of
Can I just add in there? I don't see them as a government. They're just glorified councillors.
That as well, but it's like when you're in school. Back when you were in school, and if there was a boy, albeit okay, maybe arguably you shouldn't have done this. I'm not saying that's a good thing or a bad thing, but if there was a boy that was very effeminate, you'd call him a gay boy. You know what I mean? And because most men or boys aren't like that, so naturally you see somebody that's not acting how they should, and you go, "Oh yeah, you're a gay boy" or whatever. And that's to me, that's how the Scottish Government act. Just I don't know, it's gay, very effeminate, very very effeminate. And I just think that's mothering, and it's a nanny state, effectively, a resilience committee. What the fuck? Thanks for that, Keith Brown. Thanks for telling me to have iced lollies. And thanks, Keith, my nationalist hero.
See, a lot of that comes from the helicopter parenting. You've kids that the parents are never more than fucking 3 feet away from, and that continues right on through up in the teenage years and practically in the adulthood. All their play, all their outdoor stuff, they're going to organized football teams. They're not having a kick about with a bunch of people on the street. They're everything's organized, everything's regulated. They get up in the morning, they go to a regulated school, they come home they go to after school activities that are regulated, they go to organized sports stuff. There's always somebody in charge, and then the minute they're left on their own to think for themselves, they're like, who the fuck's supposed to tell me what to do?
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't speak for where you are, but I mean, in the case of Scotland, I mean, they've been doing this for some time. It's Saints made a good point quite a while ago, if I recall correctly, in the comments. This was well before we came on, but he made some reference to the wedge that they're trying to create between the parent and child. And he's absolutely was bang on the money with that comment. They've been doing that for the longest time in Scotland, all the way back to your name, person scheme, etc., etc. But I don't know. I just feel, as I always use the expression wet wipery, because that's the only way I can describe it. It makes sense. It's just they're raising like the
Well,
state
it's a fair appraisal, man.
hard. They're trying so hard to politicize kids in this country, but just in general, like even the adults, like it's just wet wipery. Like what? I don't know.
Can I just add in there, DJ? It's a fine appraisal of what these twats are. They are wet wipes.
That's
Exactly what they are.
the only thing I can say
I
about
don't disagree.
it. Oh my god.
Oh fuck! I have a good wet wipe story.
On you
You'll
go.
like this.
Go for it.
Mate of mine went to. There's a club in Portrush in Northern Ireland called Kelly's, and it used to be very popular for people from Belfast to chip in together, get a bus, go the fucking 2 hours, whatever it is, from Belfast up to Kelly's, go in, have their night in the nightclub, get back on the bus and get brought back to Belfast. That's really popular. So my mate, he's up Kelly's, comes back out onto the bus, and whenever the bus is starting to go down the road, he's into his bag and pulls out a packet of wet wipes. And he's sitting in the bus, fucking washing his face down and all with the wet wipes. And fellow beside him goes, "What the fuck are you at?" He says, "Oh, this is great. You come out of there, you're all sweaty and all. Just this is really nice on your face." So his mate goes, "Give us one." So he fucking gives him a wet wipe and he's fucking at it. And then the person behind him's asking it. So the bag of wet wipes goes right the way around the whole bus, and everybody's fucking wiped their face with them. Well, what this cunt had done, he'd got a pack of wet wipes and a pack of tanning wipes, and put the tanning wipes in the wet wipes bag and put 3 fucking ordinary wet wipes in the top. So everybody got off the bus and they looked like fucking Pakistanis.
Oh, Jesus! Oh my god! Oh, oh Phil. Did anybody call him out for it or that? Or did they know?
Oh, here's the other thing. He was off the bus and all before people started to fucking realise, because it takes those tanning wipes about fucking 3 hours to actually, give its full colour. He just escaped and all, but everybody knew what they took it all right, because working class Belfast, if you can't take a joke, you really ought not to be there.
Aye. Well,
it's at the end of the day, that one you have to go, "Oh fuck, you got me." They're fucking their hands and their faces all fucking
I don't know.
all coloured in.
Don't know how to respond to that. To be honest, like I think that might be a step too far if you blank faced me. Oh no, I can't really. Any bus stories I can think of? No. No, not really. I think there's just a wee change of tone in terms of something that happened to my great granddad before he went into the war and all that stuff. But he was maybe in his late teens or something, and he was sitting in the window on the bus driving up the road to Inverness or something. He must have been past World War II. We didn't have bucket buses back then, but he was on a bus anyway, all right. And what happened was the guy had asked that was sitting next to him, because he was in the window seat, asked him if he could swap places because he gets car sick, or feels sick and stuff. So could they swap? So my great granddad said, "Aye, sound." So they swapped places, but a lorry went past with that was carrying metal girders, and one of the girders had come a bit loose, and the bus. I've never seen a news article to verify this, that my great granddad and my granddad swore blind at this happened. The girder sliced through the entirety of that side of the bus, and it killed everybody. and maimed a few. Like there was a few lucky survivors. It killed everybody that was sitting at the window. So my great granddad, had he not been requested to swap seats, he'd be dead. The guy next to him's dead. Because my granddad told me when my great granddad came home that night, he was covered in this guy's blood. Like, so yeah, a bit of a dark story, but it just goes to show that fate works in mysterious ways, I guess. Like, you know.
Wow.
Aye, sorry, you're talking about black paste and then just go and roll that story out like this too. Well, apparently, I don't know.
Oh, that is how fragile life is. You know, it's it's luck more than good judgment that you make it through this place for a while.
I'm a firm believer in fate. I think I never really used to be, but I do think, as I know it's cliche, but everything happens for a reason, and I do think that is the case. So not just that story I just rattled off there, but just in general, I do think that when it comes to life, everything does happen for a reason. Fate, as I say.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
the amount of random stuff that happened can't be that random.
Aye, well, even John Davidson, he told me a few weeks ago that where he lived originally before he moved, I'm not going to go into details why he moved because I only have confidence, but he left where he lived and moved to a brand new place, and it was just a block of flats, and then the woman who lived across the landing from him became his wife. Like that's fate. Had one of the events that had not taken place that forced him to feel he had to move taken place, then he would have never met his wife.
Yeah, but that is luck.
Luck or fate, I don't know. I'm not very sentimental or that. I'm just meaning it's one of those things that does get you thinking. Like everything does happen for a reason. But how dare Streaky Bacon? How dare he say that in the comments section? I want banned, blocked.
What's he saying?
Oh, thanks for the link, Simpson. Oh, well, thanks for the link, like, hey, it's an excuse to escape DJ's story. How fucking you are, you wee Welsh. You fucking cheeky bastard, like. No. Bye. I'll stop rambling now because obviously it's upsetting Streaky.
Yeah. Right. Let's see where we're at. We're 2:05. I think I'm going to start thinking about wrapping this up. So we'll not do what we did last time and go on for a fucking all-nighter.
No, I'm not doing that. No, doing that this time. Like, I will say though, before you go, I'm not really entirely comfortable posting in the chat because people might watch it at a later date that I don't want seeing it. But anybody is interested in the adventures of me and my dog and our sightseeing and whatnot, I would be happy to give you the link to the channel. I started a wee Telegram channel at the start of the weekend. So, yeah, I mean, it's going to be very anticlimactic because probably nobody will actually say they want to see it, but I'm just saying.
I'll watch it.
I have been going out all weekend, sightseeing and that, like, so. Aye. But I'm not posting it for you know what I mean?
Oh.
DJ, I would be interested in seeing it, so you've got one subscriber there.
I've got 10, I'll have you know. I've got 10 already. Right, but I know fire the link to you. As I'm saying, I don't want to post it to like on a public comment section. So.
I understand.
Oh, here, DJ, did you see what Sansom said? Cheers, you guys. Take care. And Neil sends his best.
Hello, the people of my life. Oh Jesus. What's your animal? What? How can I get? Are you on Telegram? If you're on Telegram, I'll fire the link.
What the hell's going on here?
I don't know.
Thanks for 3 minutes of my ears breaking with horribleness. All right.
You should have listened to my story streak. You know what I mean? That's what you get. Eight.
Yep. There we go. Well, with that being said and done, I'm going to begin to wrap this up. I'm going to dig out a little bit of music. Resisting Lies, Cheeky Viking, thank you very much for jumping on. Good story, DJ. And I know I'll have you on again sometime soon.
I probably
Sorry, I've not got good stories. I live a very boring life down here. Maybe I should move to the islands.
Oh yeah, and then get potentially raped by Bems. It's brilliant.
Aye, that'll be right.
Right. Sorry, I know you want to wrap up. As I said, I just don't really want to post it. Right, so
Yep.
I'll post it quickly, and then I'm deleting it before the stream ends. All right, so fucking there's the link here. Okay. There you go. Have a wee Gucci at that, like. But as I say, I'm deleting it. I'll delete it when 42 finishes his play out song.
Right. Okay. I'm going to dig that up now. Share screen. Chrome tab. Sure. We'll get this back to the start. Is that up? It is up.
Right.
Here we go. Bit of Paul Mumford.
Everyone knows I'm gonna be the first man down. All my friends are sick of having me around. Nobody wants to give a buddy one last break. Can't go on taking all a man can take. Life is a curse, it only gets worse, and the world don't watch you drown. Maybe my mind will fail to ever find the point. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna lay my head on the riverbed. Looking back, I rejected every place I stayed. A woman says I'm lying in the bed I've made. She says warriors don't give up before the war begins. So I get high to justify the mess I'm in. People get mad and people get sad, but at least they have a cause. Struggle to feel emotion I can really trust. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna lay my head on the riverbed. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna lay my head on the riverbed. I'm going deep, deep down underwater. Gonna make my grave underneath the wave. I'm going deep.
All right, people, thanks very much for coming along. I've been 42. You as always have been fucking awesome. Thank you and good night.